Today we're talking about one of the most beloved British sitcoms of the 1990s, Keeping Up Appearances. A sitcom built around social status, embarrassment, awkward neighbours, and one woman completely determined to convince the world that her surname was pronounced Bouquet, not Bucket.
There's usually something for a Mrs. Richard Bouquet.
How do you spell bouquet?
B-U-C-K-E-T.
What?
B-U-C-K-E-T.
Oh, bucket.
The series first aired on BBC One in 1990 and was created and written by Roy Clarke, the man behind classics like Last of the Summer Wine and Open All Hours. The show ran for 5 series and quickly became one of BBC's biggest comedy hits, not just in Britain but around the world. At the centre of it all was Hyacinth Bucket, played brilliantly by Patricia Routledge. Hyacinth saw herself as refined, upper class and sophisticated. She wanted candlelight suppers, elegant garden parties and high society friends. The problem was, no one else really saw her like that.
You'll not forget my little candlelight supper this evening.
Hyacinth genuinely believed she belonged among the upper classes, despite constantly being surrounded by disaster, chaos and embarrassment. Whether she was showing off her Royal Dalton with the hand-painted periwinkles, forcing her husband Richard into another social event, or proudly answering her white slimline telephone with the automatic redial.
This is a private, slimline, white telephone with no connection whatsoever to any business or trade. Especially not one of foreign extraction.
Poor husband Richard, played by Clive Swift, spent most of the series looking exhausted and humiliated. Richard is probably the most relatable character in the entire show. He knows every outing is going to end badly.
Blow your horn, Richard.
What for?
This old lady on the pavement. You must warn her you're coming.
A lot of the humour came from his reactions alone. Sometimes a single look from Richard was funnier than the entire page of dialogue. The supporting cast was also excellent. There was Elizabeth, Hyacinth's nervous neighbour, played by Josephine Tewson. Elizabeth becomes absolutely terrified whenever Hyacinth visits. Even pouring a simple cup of tea turns into a nervous breakdown.
Elizabeth, if you could pass round my Royal Dalton with the hand-painted periwinkles.
Must I, Hyacinth? I'm terrified of dropping one. It is lovely china, Mrs. Bucket.
Then there's Hyacinth's family, the people she spends the entire series trying to distance herself from. Onslow, played by Geoffrey Hughes, is scruffy, lazy, and rarely seen without a can of beer and a TV remote. Daisy, played by Judy Cornwell, spends most of the show trying to bring romance back into her marriage.
Why don't you grow a moustache?
You want a moustache? Why don't you grow a moustache?
And Rose, sister to both Daisy and Hyacinth, is the glamorous, flirtatious one who constantly horrifies Hyacinth with her behaviour.
Find out how much he really cares. You can't embarrass him while he's at work, asking him if he loves you. Well, it'd embarrass him even more if I asked him at home. His wife would be listening.
Rose was originally played by Shirley Stelfox in the first series, before Mary Miller took over the role for the rest of the programme. One of the show's funniest running jokes involves Hyacinth's wealthy sister, Violet. You constantly hear Hyacinth proudly saying,
It's my sister, Violet. You remember? The one with the large house, the sauna and room for a
but
pony.
despite all the luxury, Violet's marriage is always falling apart in the background. That contrast summed up the whole show perfectly. Everybody keeping up appearances is pretending in some way. The series also become famous for its catchphrases.
The Bouquet residence, the lady of the house speaking. Warn this pedestrian.
Bucket? Oh, yes, we have a bucket.
Pronounced Bouquet, dear.
Even people who never regularly watch the sitcom probably recognise those lines. One reason the comedy still works today is because it understood British class anxiety so well. Hyacinth desperately wants acceptance. She wants respectability, status and admiration. And most people know somebody a little bit like that. The humour never depended on huge slapstick moments either. Most episodes started with something small and ordinary. A boat trip, a church function, a countryside picnic, slowly collapsing into complete chaos. That slow build-up made the embarrassment even funnier.
How fares the church worldwide then, Vicar? For example, what is the missionary position in China these days?
The cast had impressive careers outside the series. Patricia Routledge had a hugely successful theatre career and was even nominated a Tony Award on Broadway long before many viewers knew her as Hyacinth. She later starred in Hetty Wainthropp Investigates. Ironically, although Hyacinth's singing terrified people in the sitcom, Routledge herself was a very talented singer. Geoffrey Hughes was already well known for Coronation Street and later appeared in Heartbeat. Josephine Tewson also appeared in Last of the Summer Wine, while Clive Swift went on to appear in many British TV dramas and comedies. Another interesting thing about Keeping Up Appearances is just how successful it became internationally. The sitcom became hugely popular in countries including the United States, Canada, Australia and New Zealand, and remains one of the BBC's most repeated comedy exports. More than 30 years later, Keeping Up Appearances is still repeated constantly on TV and has still attracted a new audience. Because underneath all the pearl necklaces, candlelight suppers and polished appearances, it's really a sitcom about insecurity.
Wishing an atmosphere of grace and decorum. Oh!
And despite all the chaos she causes, Hyacinth Bucket somehow remains strangely lovable.
What do I do? I've never pushed anything in my life.
There's a first time for everything.
But
out you go, Hyacinth. This is an emergency.